Certainly.
All right. See ya.
We used to get those for everybody.
It has a nice airplane hanger that we're about to insulate the ceiling of.
Oh, really?
I have to put it somewhere cute.
Rationing.
Nice airplane, good looking.
You get a pin though.
So I did get that. So we've corresponded.
They told me today from Independence Times.
Is that
Take as many pins you want. I was like, nope. There's only
Really
one.
good day for you
It says
today.
presidential
What's that,
12
about an 80
signing.
something?
83.
We're going to
That's my
mark it up.
best score.
These pins will stay with the history of this city. And
Yes.
we'll make a plaque or put on there.
That's my best score ever. Yeah.
That's awesome.
Right now, they're below my computer screen.
Usually I'm like
Every day you get to see 'em.
88.
There you go. Led to some of the.
But after
Got
that,
84 once.
what else do we get to see?
That are.
It's good. It's good numbers.
Lots and strips
Stuff,
of
that's
land
right.
and
True.
I think
that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I'll have a couple of those on the next
Not
one.
so good. You feel like you have to drop everything else and go pro. Right?
Easy.
You just need to sell a whole lot more.
It'd be travesty.
It just felt good.
Email addresses
out there.
and send them an update like that. But we're a long way from single end districts.
Oh, yeah. Brings up interesting issues,
Yeah.
but big cities usually go to it.
Well, Galveston was a whole lot bigger when I first started working there before all those hurricanes
All right.
caused people.
Are we on, Sandra?
So it's lost populations.
Yeah, it was. when
You going
I started
away, any?
working there in 2000, when
You want me to do it?
My daughter's coming here, so
I'll always do
the
it.
population.
Anytime you want, you just,
I don't have to go
you
to
say it, I'll do it.
Okay. I didn't have anybody say.
I know,
that,
so that's what I'm saying. If you
Go anywhere.
ever meet, if you
I hear
want,
you.
I'll
Chase a
gladly do
beach
it.
every once in a while.
After Hurricane Ike hit,
Yeah, I think we all got that.
the population.
We ready, Dave?
39 or something. I think it's
All right, we reconvene from recess into open session to act as deemed appropriate in city council's discretion regarding A, consultation with legal counsel and possible action concerning any regular meeting agenda item.
No action.
All right, Sandra, please note that all of our council members are here, and we are beginning the regular session at this time. If you would, please join me. We're going to have an invocation led by Josh Ray, and then we will say the Pledge of Allegiance to the U.S. and the Texas flag.
Let's pray. Our gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day, Lord. We thank you for all the opportunity that you provide us with. Thank you for the many things you surround us and bless us with here in Lago Vista, Lord. We just ask that you provide guidance and confidence and wisdom to our city council as they make those decisions for our community to move us forward, Lord. We just ask that you be here in this presence for every action item, for every discussion, so that members of our community, Lord, have open minds and open hearts and can understand some of the things that we're trying to do here in a community, Lord. We just ask for that wisdom to shed to all of us, especially through the holidays, Lord. We thank you for taking care of us, for watching over us, and for keeping us safe day in and day out. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Now the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Now the Texas flag.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you. You may be seated. All right, citizen comments. In accordance with the Open Meetings Act, council is prohibited from acting or discussing, other than factual responses to specific questions, any items not on the agenda. And I have Ron Smith that is signed up.
Good evening, Mayor, council members. The topic tonight is a request to transfer the Highland Lakes Golf Course net proceeds of $515,000 from the general fund reserve account to the debt service account, in particular the utility debt. Now, many of you weren't active in local politics back when the Highland Lakes Golf Course was purchased. That was done on May the 6th of 2010. 2 days later, I was elected to the city council, so I lived with this Highland Lakes Golf Course my entire time on the golf course. On May the 20th, I was sworn in, and throughout the summer, the council tried to figure out how to pay for this golf course that they wanted to go buy. Mayor Kruger reviewed about 40 utility CIP projects that were sold under certificates of obligation, and no vote of the citizens ever occurred. What happened was the city council at the time stopped most of those utility bonds. There's about 40 of them. And we shut down most of those 40, not all of them, to go purchase and redirect that money over to the purchase of the Highland Lakes Golf Course. It was sold as an affluent field in Public Works. Purchase price was $620,000, $120,000 in golf maintenance equipment. And then finally, when the budget came around, it was closed. That was the first budget I ever voted against, was that 2010 budget. Fast forward 9 years to today, that purchase of the Highland Lakes Golf Course that's been utilizing the utility bond money or debt has been and continues to be paid by the citizens' water bill. In November of 2018, I chose not to run again, and we were trying to sell the Highland Lakes Golf Course. It got snafu'd in some procedural matters. It got redone a few months later and finally closed. That money was in part over in the general fund reserve account. What I'm asking you to do is to create a future agenda item to authorize the city manager to transfer that $515,000 from the proceeds of the Highland Lakes Golf Course to debt service to pay down some utility debt. I do realize there's a lot of refunding or refinancing of bonds that have occurred over the years. You lose traceability when that happens. I like to see it go back to water. And even when we ever close on the house, I like to see that go against debt as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you. All right, at this time, that's all I have that have signed up for citizens' comments. Is there anybody else in the audience who did not sign up but would like to address the council at this time? All right, we will move into action items. I'm sorry, I misread. Items of community interest. Pursuant to Texas Government Code, Section 551.0415, the City Council may report on any of the following items: expression of thanks, gratitude, and condolences, information regarding holiday schedules, recognition of individuals, reminders regarding City Council events, reminders regarding community events, and health and safety announcements. I do have a couple of here. This was forwarded to me from Ron Smith earlier, or about 2 weeks ago, showing that our Firewise community has been renewed for 2019. This is the 9th year in a row, I believe. They were the second community in the state of Texas to become Firewise, and they have just been recertified for the 9th year. So awesome job by our Firewise community. And holiday schedules. I believe we're closed for what, the next 2 weeks?
2.5, yes, Mayor. We're closed on Tuesday and Wednesday of next week, Mayor, so we'll be open on Monday and Thursday, and then on New Year's Day, we're closed.
All right.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I'd like to remind all of our citizens that are watching, everyone here, that the police department is still doing Blue Santa. Toys, donations, all are accepted and will continue to be accepted. You miss Christmas, go on and bring it in. If it's not used this year, it'll be used next year. but this is a very worthwhile thing that our police department spearheads. We need to support it. Please, bring a gift, bring a toy, bring money, whatever you want to give, and let's make it a good Christmas for some of our less fortunate individuals in our community.
Along with that, Waste Connections, the company that handles our solid waste and recycling, they brought in 8 bicycles with helmets to donate to our Blue Santa program.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to thank, on December 5th, I did a Blue Santa golf tournament. And I'd like to thank Danny and the police department for showing up and picking up all the toys. And I'd like to thank all the participants that participated in the golf tournament. We had over 55 people that participated. And I'd like to thank Chris Godwin and his staff for making sure that everything was right on the course for that day. Everybody had a great time. And we were able to raise, between toys and monies, over $1,000 that we gave to Blue Santa. So thank everyone for their participation. Hopefully we can continue it each year, moving forward and get bigger and bigger. Thanks.
Great, thank you.
Mayor, I'd like to thank Keep Lago Vista Beautiful for keeping Lago Vista beautiful. According to Keep Texas Beautiful, the amount of work that they've done to the end of November is worth about $33,000. That does not include the work that they're doing to coordinate cleaning up about 145 streets. Now, in light of cleaning up streets, this Saturday, the Honorable Ed Tidwell and the former mayor, Dale Mitchell, among about a dozen other Lions, will be out on Longman Ford Road to pick up somewhere between 12 and 15 bags of garbage this Saturday.
All right, thank you. Anybody else? All right, we will move on to public hearings and possible actions. First consideration. Number 3, the Lago Vista City Council is holding a public hearing. Consider ordinance number 19-12-19-01, an ordinance of the City Council of Lago Vista, Texas, amending section 13.20 and 13.40 of chapter 14, the zoning ordinance, to add specific documentation requirements to zoning applications relating to proof of property ownership or authority to act as the agent of the owner, and to add needed flexibility and more reasonably limit the number of notification signs required to be placed on subject properties, and providing for related matters. And I will open the public hearing at 6:41 p.m. And we'll begin with staff presentation.
Yes, sir. This is really 2 separate issues, but they're kind of related. One, ever since I've been here, we've kind of struggled with making people take the ownership issue seriously. And there's not been one situation where that was a problem. There have been dozens. In fact, it's more commonly an issue than not. But one of the things that the staff would like to do is in addition to change the packet and the form and all that stuff, is make sure that those requirements are explicitly in the ordinance. So we think we can better enforce them. And that is the first section that we've amended, is to what we think give us more sound authority for making those changes in the packet that we hand out and the form that we ask people to sign. The other thing is an issue that we really weren't aware of until recently, but we have been making plans for a long time that when we run out of our temporary signs, to go to a more generic and durable permanent sign that we would place on the property that simply says, please look at the city website. There's a zoning application here. Call this number for more information. The sign would be more durable. It would be more like the size of a speed limit sign. It would be on a metal rail that won't fall down. It'll be more durable. We think it'll stay up. And other jurisdictions that have gone to that system insist that it saves them money over long run. You just simply order enough signs to cover your normal inventory needs for a given month, and you reuse them. We'd like to go to that system. However, the way the ordinance read, and it's a very rare circumstance, but when you have a very large PDD that encompasses a number of separate tracts and lots, the language in our ordinance said, I don't think it was intentional, but it treated all those as, requiring 3 signs each. And we had a recent application that literally the way the ordinance read, we had to put up 46 signs, and we don't think that was the intent. So what we did is prepare you an amendment that we think is consistent with the intent that would allow us to go ahead and convert to this permanent sign that we had been hoping to go to in the near future.
Okay, question on the signs.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so we're looking at contiguous property. Does this address, say, a large piece of property that has multiple frontages?
Each
So like
right.
if you have a sign on this street that covers everything, what about the streets on the sides?
Each frontage would be treated separately.
Each frontage?
Right.
Okay.
But contiguous tracts on the same frontage would require a maximum of 3 signs.
Okay. Okay. Because looking at this, I wasn't real clear if each frontage was,
Yes, each frontage was treated separately.
okay. And second comment on page 13, where we made the red line changes to the application. It says here, such application shall be accompanied by a fee established by the council and shall contain the following information unless waived by the city manager or his designee.
Yeah.
Is it possible to amend this to say unless waived in writing?
Yeah, that would be a good thing. It's actually language that's in the existing ordinance that we didn't really look at, but that's not a bad suggestion.
Because
Yeah.
the way I see this, it could be waived verbally, but how do you dock that? So I would like to have it when
Let me put it this way. I'm of the opinion, you guys may have heard this, I'm of the opinion that the staff doesn't have the authority to waive fees, that that's exclusively vested in the council. So unless somebody puts a gun to my head, it isn't happening anyway, regardless of what that ordinance says. But I certainly think that's an improvement.
I just want to make sure that there's a document trail in case something does get waived by the city manager or that.
Yeah, I mean, I think what they're intending is what we do, okay? We don't charge a citizen for our mistake. We're responsible for our own errors. To me, that's not a fee waiver, okay? A fee waiver is, I'm so good, you ought to not charge me because I'm just a wonderful person. I don't think we have the authority to do that, but the council does.
Right.
I think the language is intended to cover the errors.
Yeah. Mayor, question.
Yes.
I'm looking at the red line copy, and this is under the section B, manner of initiating zoning change. And I think the section you're talking about has to do with information, not fees.
Gotcha.
Right.
Yeah, I don't have it actually in front of me, but.
Shall contain the following information unless waived.
Yeah.
So that's just the information, not the
Right,
fee,
not the
just the
fee.
A through J information. But if the city
It's
manager.
the information, yeah, you're
Right.
right. I mean, this has nothing to do with the
If the
fee.
city manager or his designee for some reason doesn't include A through J because of a waiver.
Right,
Then
and
that
that-
waiver needs to be in writing, okay, G was waived by the city manager. It needs to be
Well,
documented.
in the reality, let me tell you what's really going on, and I would argue that what you're suggesting may not be necessary. That's a fairly comprehensive list. There are a number of applications that some of that list never applies to. It's that simple. All zoning applications aren't the same. Property is inherently unique. The proposal is inherently unique. That list won't apply to every project.
Right.
Sometimes it should, you could just as easily say, you'll provide this information when applicable, okay? And the determination of whether it's applicable or not will be made by the city manager or his designee. That's, I think, what it's referring to.
Yeah, just a quick note. We're going to have to look at this for the PDD two-step.
Right. And it's the
This is
same
going to
thing.
have to, yeah, okay.
It's, the reality is you can't have a perfect list that applies to all applications. It's just not possible.
Right.
Yeah, Mayor, I don't know where you were headed with this, but I'm kind of with the Development Services Director about why we allowing anybody to waive required information that's in the ordinance.
Right.
I'm there. I
hear
wouldn't
you.
waive anything.
Well, no, but I have seen at times things get waived and then somebody come back and go, well, hey, who waived this? And there was no document trail to
Yeah.
show that.
I'm just suggesting we not waive
Right.
information or
Right.
allow anybody to waive
The only time we
information.
don't require it is when it simply does not apply to the application for some reason.
Well, some of
And
this
that's
stuff
rare.
we've not, I'm sorry I'm taking
Yeah.
so much time now, but some of this we've not gotten for a long, long time. For instance, D, the type and location of all structures on the subject parcel and each abutting adjacent or contiguous parcel straight zoning districts, we've never gotten that, period, ever.
Yeah, we fight for that kind of stuff. And our own aerial maps are not necessarily up to date.
Anybody else, questions, comments? All right. Thank you, sir.
You bet.
This is a public hearing and it is open. So at this time, I have Paul Roberts has signed up.
Merry Christmas. Cookies for everybody. Everybody's hungry. I brought them this time. I watched Mr. Williams take us into that last executive session.
I'll take these too.
Good, very good. I just wanted to speak briefly on this. I would, as a citizen, love to see all of these application requirements enforced. The ones that are not going to be required on this list in the city ordinance, if it's not required, because the city manager or his designee has determined it does not need to be required, document it. Put it in writing. Which one have you specifically waived? I think that rules are here for a reason. These are all very important things that are part of an application, should be part of an application, but as Roy's pointed out, I think I read in one of his staff reports recently, he can count on one hand a certain number and then on another, one finger, how many have actually had all of this. Well, if all of this was strictly enforced, people, applicants, would do their diligence. They'd spend a little bit of money. It would weed out the nefarious applications. Get it done right. I would just request that perhaps this, just 2 words be added to that last red line, in writing. That's it. If something's waived, put it in writing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. That was the point I was trying to make. Just, I'm not saying that we should be waiving anything, but if something doesn't apply or something, you just put in there, it does not apply, or.
In writing. Yeah, no problem.
All right, that's all I have signed up to speak. Is there anybody else in the audience who would like to address this issue at this time? All right. Well, I'm going to go ahead and leave the public hearing open at this moment. This is our first consideration. And unless somebody feels otherwise, we'll go ahead and move to agenda item number 4.
Mayor, let me see if I could do something on this one. I know you've already closed it, but can I I would like to see the in writing phrase that you suggested come back in the ordinance next time. Is there some way we can do that?
Yeah, we can direct them.
Okay,
Yeah.
all right.
Is there, Mr. Mayor, is there a reason why the ordinance couldn't be passed with in writing being added to that last sentence? I mean, is there some reason for extending this out? I mean, there's not a whole lot of discussion
Other
there.
than the fact that this is the first consideration,
Okay.
no, there is not. But if you would like, I
I
can.
mean, because I mean, I don't have any objection to adding the word in writing for any exceptions to the rule that happens. I mean, but I'd like to, it seems like zoning constantly gets pushed back and I'd like to see us move a little bit faster on the zoning things.
All right.
Take pity on us, we have to create the agenda for January 2nd.
You know,
City secretary. That would be one item we wouldn't have to do. What?
All right, well, I've got request to close the public hearing. Is everybody good with that? Yeah. All right, well, then I'll go ahead and close the public hearing at 6:54 PM.
Mr. Mayor, can I make a motion that we approve the ordinance? Gotta go back to the ordinance number 19-12-19-01 with the following changes: that each frontage area would have a sign, and then documents when something is waived by a city manager. If something is waived, it must be put in writing.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I think that's amendment to B1 in the last, and so you'd add at the end of or his designee in writing.
Correct.
Unless waived.
Correct.
Okay, thanks.
Correct.
Unless waived, either at that point, unless waived in writing by the
And-
city manager. Yeah, just somewhere in that sentence. And,
Okay.
all right, anything else? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. All right, now we go to action item number 4. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding ordinance number 19-12-19-02, an ordinance by the City Council of Lago Vista, Texas, amending Section 3.907 and Section 3.914, subsection 6 of Chapter 3 of the Lago Vista Code of Ordinances to adopt minor changes contained in the updated flood insurance rate map mandated by state and federal regulations and providing for related matters. All right.
Yes, sir. This is something that we simply have to do to maintain the availability of flood insurance to our residents. Having said that, we have, once again, January 22nd is our deadline for having this new map adopted. We scrambled again because of the schedule, the holiday schedule, to get you as much information as we can. But it took up until now for us to have a clear idea of what really changed, because our GIS people just got those maps finished this afternoon fairly late, where we could zoom in and see it without using an interactive thing that was more confusing than it was helpful. The reality is some of these risk zones got infinitesimally larger. I don't think most of them that grew are even in the city of Lago Vista. When we looked at it, the big map is on your conference table right behind you. We have little maps for anybody that wants to take them home, and it turns out that the link that we put in your packet drops the layers when you use it for some reason. You had to use the link that the lady sent me in the email for it to even work, and even then it wasn't that helpful. What we have now is the ability to give you something, but it looks like simply some fairly large boundary areas grew in the equivalent on the map that's behind you, that's, an east side map, it's like a line thickness bigger. And like I said, not that much of it is even in the city of Lago Vista, if I'm not mistaken. It looked like most of it was outside the, in the, not necessarily even in the ETJ, but other parts of the county.
Roy, is the dotted line Lago Vista?
Yes, sir.
That's, okay.
And like I said, what you have on the composite map is the only one that makes sense to me.
Yeah.
But what it is those solid shaded areas.
Yeah.
And then the dark line around it shows you that it grew. And you can't even really tell if the line, at that scale, the line thickness might even exaggerate how much it grew. But you can see it's relatively minor increases to those boundaries.
So
Roy, who-
No change in the base flood elevation, by the way.
Okay.
There were rumors it was going to go up, but those were all rumors.
Okay.
But just so everybody knows, these changes were not changes that we made.
Oh, no.
These were made by the state.
Although, right, or by citizens. In some cases, they were based on somebody saying, hey, I need to be able to get flood insurance and you didn't include me, either include me or I don't want to have to, take me out. Those kind of, requests were all put on the table and considered. They came from individuals, governments, wherever. There was a free comment period that lasted at least a year, I think, for them to solicit that information once they determined that they were going to update the map. But yeah, I'd heard a bunch of rumors that it was going up again, but turned out not to be accurate.
Oh, that's good.
So the flood insurance is remaining the same, or what's the impact of
The impact,
this?
if you don't,
I'm not understanding the impact.
let me put it this way. FEMA holds a big stick. If a government decides they're not going to do what FEMA asked them to do, the repercussions are on either the availability of flood insurance to your residents or what they pay. One of the two is usually impacted if you thumb your nose at FEMA. And I don't know any simpler way to put it than that. They may be offended by that characterization, but.
Well, I'm asking, why would we thumb our nose at this? I don't understand that part
I
of
don't
it.
think there's a reason you would, but,
Okay.
but I have seen, not so much in the maps, but for example, John is our floodplain manager, and he reviews permits. If FEMA has a requirement and John enforces it, and that citizen comes to you or the board, the Building and Standards Commission, and asks for a variance to not comply with a FEMA regulation, and FEMA finds that out,
Okay. I
you'll
got
hear
you.
about it, typically.
Yeah. Okay.
They won't like you taking that action, and I've seen that happen.
Yeah. Okay. I was just trying to understand what the difference was.
Can I try something? If you look, well, the green area, that's the area that's, the floodplain is now gone into. So somebody's home or property may have gone into the floodplain. And they now have got issues with building permitting and flood insurance they're going to have to deal with. That's
just the reality.
and we don't have a choice.
Yeah.
If we want to have flood insurance for everybody in town, we got to adopt this.
Right.
And if either the council or John, through errors, makes enough of them, they will come visit you.
Gotcha.
Not with a smile on their face either.
Okay.
Well, and it also affects their mortgage too. I mean, if they're having to take
They
out a,
tend to punish the whole community, by the way.
Yeah.
Either the rates or, even the availability of insurance. They do it.
but if they're gonna carry a note on their property, they've got to, and they're in this floodplain, they've got to have that insurance.
Got it.
Right. Any other questions from council? All right, at this time, if there's anybody in the audience who would like to address the council. All right, it is open for action.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we pass ordinance number 19-12-19-02.
All All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. Number 5, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding ordinance number 19-12-19-03, an ordinance of the City Council of Lago Vista, Texas, amending section 7.302 of Chapter 7 of the Lago Vista Code of Ordinances to adopt minor changes related to assessments resulting from criminal offenses of FTA failure to appear and VPTA violation of a promise to appear required by Senate Bill 346 of the Texas State Legislature, which amends Article 45.203C of the Texas Code of Criminal Procedure and providing for related matters. Just to note, this was brought to my attention that this agenda item needs to go back for some further review, and we are not ready to take any action on this, so I am going to pull this agenda item from our agenda tonight. All right. So we will go to agenda item number 6. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding ordinance number 19-12-19-04, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, disannexing an approximately 4.032 acres out of land situated within the O. Henderson Survey, abstract number 2709, recorded in document number 2016000084, official public records, Travis County, Texas, in the corporate limits of the city, providing for the following: findings of fact, disannexation of territory, effective date, filing, severability, and property notice and meeting. And this is you, Josh. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. Mayor, this item has come before council before at the last meeting, and it was requested to be moved to this date today. The city has been under contract to sell the city-owned property located at 18001 Marshall's Point. That contract has been effectively completed as of today. The city signed on the selling of this property, and the buyer has completed signatures on purchasing the property. The 18001 Marshall's Point is scheduled to fund tomorrow morning. At that point, the sale will be completed. However, contingent upon the action of the city council to disannex this property, if council approves this, then we're able to move forward. If not, then we will not move forward.
Thank you. Questions, comments? No? All right, anybody from the audience would like to address council regarding this? All right, hearing none, it is open for action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion to approve this ordinance -19-12-19-04, a motion to disannex the property at Marshall Point.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor, I have one thing. This is a procedural thing. Most of the time when we talk about ordinances that we're going to move forward with, we hear the words approve and accept. The correct verbiage is adopt. So this is an adoption of this ordinance that we're talking about.
I'm gonna cut your hair, man.
We have to do the right thing procedurally.
I move to adopt.
Yes, please. I move to adopt is the correct way to introduce it.
I move to approve and adopt.
Just
And I say,
Just adopt.
And,
All right, I have a motion to adopt this ordinance and a second. Any further discussion? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the motion is adopted unanimously.
Thank you.
Mayor, as an after point on that, I just sent that message. We'll let them know that it's been processed, and then tomorrow, when the city has successfully been wired funds, then we'll let you know, so that that's a completed action in the past.
All right. Let the public know that too.
We will share the news.
Okay. Number 7, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding applicants for appointment to the Airport Advisory Board, Board of Adjustment, Building and Standards Commission, Economic Development Advisory Committee, Golf Course Advisory Committee, Library Advisory Board, Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee, and the Planning and Zoning Commission. A, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1822, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to fill expiring terms as regular members on the Airport Advisory Board and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. Chief, I'm going to go ahead and say this. I think there may be some infighting, so be prepared in case I have to.
It's only up here though, right?
We have a lot of qualified applicants that they were fighting over verbally. Hopefully, it doesn't get physical. But
Mr. Mayor, I thought we were going to do the commissions
I
first.
asked for direction. Nobody said they were concerned about which order, so I'm just going in order.
I'm gonna buck the system a little bit and ask for me to get this planning and zoning over with.
I only need 2.
Well, I've already read A, so we're starting with the Airport
Okay,
Advisory.
all right.
Mayor, I'd like to make some nominations for the Airport Advisory Board.
Yes, please.
I'd like to nominate Gren Chiappi, who is the current member. He's also the existing chair of the board. By the way, he is, among other things, that he's the Airport Advisory Board that Glenn's really championing is some money-making opportunities with respect to hangars that he brought to the Airport Advisory Board and is working with staff on. I'd like to nominate James A. Walt, James Peck, and Laurie Dick.
All right. Questions, comments? All right. Anybody from the audience would like to address council? All right. Was that a motion to adopt or?
Yes. Well, that's,
You
How did-
have to state the resolution.
yeah,
You
I
made
would,
nominations. If you have a resolution there, if you would like to appoint those folks.
yeah, I would move to approve Resolution 19-18-22 with the.
It's adopt resolution.
No, sir, it's not. It's not. And I would be pleased to go through that with you. For instance, the past resolution or the past ordinance that we approved said on the ordinance approved.
Okay.
So adopt, approve, pass a resolution 19-1822 with the 4 folks I just mentioned to be appointed to the Airport Advisory Board.
Thank you.
I'll second that.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, nay. Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous.
Do it again, Al. I'm looking at you, Mayor. Can I go ahead?
H,
H. What happened to me?
what is yours?
Planning and zoning.
I'm next.
Board of Adjustment?
Go ahead, man.
B, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1823, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to fill expiring terms as regular members of the Board of Adjustment and 1 individual to fill a newly created position on the Board of Adjustment and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to reappoint. I don't know if I can get
this up.
There's a new version of the resolution because there was a resignation. There should be one that also includes an unexpired term. Do you have that one?
Mayor, we have that. So the resolution 19-1823 in the packet does show regular members, one individual to fill an unexpired term and one individual to fill a newly created position.
That's the right.
We do have it updated.
That is what I said, right?
I think you left off the unexpired term.
Let's see, 4 expiring and 1 to fill a new, oh, okay, yes.
And that was the way it was for a minute, but we got a recognition.
Okay.
So I move to reappoint Linda Aird, Breath Carroll, Jim Kaysen, Howard Hoover, and appoint Amadeo Perez and Kara Trissel.
Okay, which one is for the newly created position?
Amadeo Perez,
Okay, and which one is for the unexpired?
Kara Trissel.
Okay.
So
All
I
right.
move to adopt and approve resolution 191-1823.
All right. I have a motion and a second. I don't have a second, I'm sorry. I have a motion.
I'm getting a little lonely up here.
I'll second.
Now I've got the second. Arch. Any further discussion? All right, he made his motion before I opened it up to the audience, but at this time, if there's anybody from the audience who would like to.
Anybody clamoring to be on this board?
All right. So I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. C, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1824, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 3 individuals to fill expiring terms as regular members of the Building and Standards Commission and to otherwise provide with respect thereto. All right, Building and Standards. Go.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I would like to nominate for reappointment the chair, Hugh Scott Cameron, and expiring terms for Howard Hoover and Gage Hunt. I'd like to make a motion that we adopt resolution number 19-1824.
All right, so Scott Cameron,
Howard Hoover
Howard Hoover, okay, that's the one.
and Robert Gage Hunt.
All right, I have a motion
Second.
and a second. Any further discussion? And is anybody from the audience would like to comment? All right, hearing none, I have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. D.
Mr. Mayor, I am the next commission, so I'm going to go now.
H.
H.
Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1829, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to fill expiring terms as regular members of the Planning and Zoning Commission and to otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Mayor, I have 4 positions. 3 of them are renewals, and one's a new position that's going to replace Paul Smith. He's decided that he wanted to take a break. I want to thank him for all that he has done for the Planning and Zoning Commission. But I want Paul Prince to renew his application. Charles Solomon, Gary Zielinski, who's the chairperson, and the new person will be Larry Hagler.
All right.
To resolution number 19-18-29, adopt and accept and agree. And approve. I'm getting ready to give you a
Partridge in a pear tree.
All right, I have a motion
I'll second.
and a second. Any further discussion? Anyone from the audience would like to address council? All right. Hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous.
Thank you.
I've got D, E, F, and G. Does anybody care which order from this point?
No.
No. All right, D. Discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1825, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to terms as members on the Economic Development Advisory Committee.
Yes, Mr. Mayor. This committee has been working extremely well with each other. It took a little while in 2018 when this started, so I intend to keep them together as a group, but one person has resigned, and that's James May. I thank him for his service. But I'm renewing Gage Hunt, Clive Rutherford, Elaine Hughes, and adding Julie Davis to replace James May. And since I also had Kara Tressel, I was going to add her, but if she's going to be on the Board of Adjustments, I'd rather her just focus on that. And
She can do 2.
if she's interested, I'll ask, but that would make 8 people on my board for economic. So I'll let that be up to her. I did get that approved by Eric Zeno. He said that would be no problem to have 8. So if she wants to be on 2, she can.
I can reach out to her.
So
But I
that's
think
what,
that requires changing the,
I'll keep it, okay, then Julie Davis is my 7th person.
yeah, okay.
Okay. For resolution
1825.
1825, 19-1825.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience would like to address this item? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. E, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1826, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to full terms as members of the Golf Course Advisory Committee.
Mr. Mayor, would like to reappoint 3 members, Chip Hamilton, Maja Linderman, and Michael Arms. Mr. Perrin and Joe Ladon, who has another year on his membership, have both voiced the wish not to be on the committee any longer. So in their place, I'd like to nominate Jackie Goodwin and Chris Shive.
Second.
Mayor, I think if I'm looking at the dates right, we need to clarify which one fills which place.
We'll put Jackie Goodwin on in place of Mr. Perrin, and we'll put Chris Shive on to fill the rest of Joe Ladon's term.
That'll work, Mayor.
Okay, and then it was Maja Linderman, Chip
Chip
Hamilton,
Hamilton,
and who was the other one?
and the other one is Mike Arms.
Mike Arms.
Michael Arms.
Michael Arms. Okay. right, I have a motion. Did I get a second on that
Yes.
already?
I second it.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? No? Anybody from the audience would like to? Yes.
Christine Lucero, PO Box 5464. So which one of these people are not golf affiliated? Because there's supposed to be at least one.
By what ordinance?
There is an ordinance that there's supposed to be one impartial, non-golfer on the Golf Advisory Committee.
Let's see.
Are you aware of that ordinance?
It's stated.
Well, it's not on this resolution.
I mean, we've got a all golf advisory committee and we've got a mostly a all golf city council. I think that there should be some sort of a breakup of it.
Okay, hold on. Let me see if I can find that. Dun, dun, dun.
It's in like the last sentence, I believe.
I gotta go to the document. All right, let's see what it says here. Golf Course Advisory Committee.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes.
I think you may have identified it, section 9.200. Is there another zero in there? 5, qualification as of members. Under your golf course advisory committee rules, the last sentence does say, lays out that 3 members who are members of the Lago Vista Golf Course in good standing, 3 members with strong business acumen and in good standing in the business community, and 1 without any affiliation or affinity with golf.
Yes, the last
All right,
sentence.
Thank you.
So there were some who did not have golf. And are the business ones in there too? Did y'all review
I'm sorry?
those? Because they're all MGA and WGA members. So did you decide who were the business ones? And there's definitely golfers, but did you decide who the business ones were and the non-affiliated one?
There is not one of these people that is not affiliated with the golf course in some manner.
Right.
There are definitely, there's 3 that are still in some type of business and in good standing. I would, not knowing that that was in there, at this point, I would withdraw Chris Shive from this, and
I
we'll
love
have
Chris
to come
Shedd,
back
great guy, but
with another individual who is unaffiliated. I'll have to go back and look through the
application.
I don't either, but does he have any?
Does anyone know if Paul Prince plays golf?
he does not play golf.
Falls on the,
Yeah, he's pretty busy.
Yeah.
Mayor,
Miss Lori Dick over here.
the next meeting, Mayor, the next meeting's on January 2nd, which is before any meeting would occur. So if we leave that one space open, it could be brought back as an action item at that time.
Well, what I'd like to do is meet with the chairman and look at the applications again, and then we'll come back with a recommendation on the second.
Okay, for all the positions?
No,
Or
just
do
for
you
the
want to
one,
go? Okay, so you were going to go forward
with Jackie Goodwin and reappointment of
Arms.
the other members that are on the committee.
okay.
Thank you.
All right. So I have a motion to consider 4 people for 4 of the 5 positions at this time. And the 5th one will come back in on the January 2nd meeting. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
All right, I have a second. Any further discussion? All right, anybody else from the audience at this time? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. All right, F, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1827, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 4 individuals to 4 terms as members on the Library Advisory Board.
So I'm the liaison for that position, and we've got a lot of stuff coming with the library expansion. We've had a lot of good people on that board. I'm going to keep 2 of them and add 2 new ones. So my recommendation to appoint Dale Mitchell, Dan Olson, Tricia Upchurch, and Holly Zarate.
Okay, Dan, Tricia.
Who, I got Dale and Holly. Who were the other 2?
Tricia Upchurch,
Oh, Tricia. Okay.
Dan, Tricia, Dale, and I'm sorry,
Dan Olson.
Dan Olson.
I've got Dan, Tricia,
Hollies are out there.
Holly, okay. All right,
It's a motion to appoint those 4 names to 19-18-27 for the Library Advisory Board.
I'll second.
all right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience? All right, hearing none. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. And G, discussion, consideration, and possible action regarding resolution number 19-1828, a resolution by the City Council of the City of Lago Vista, Texas, appointing 3 individuals to full terms as members on the Parks and Recreation Advisory Committee. G, who's got Parks and Rec?
I'm liaison for Parks and Rec. And we have another big project coming, and I'm going to add a couple of people to this one. We are going to renew Danny Carroll and Steve Johnston and David White.
All right. That's your motion?
So yeah, my motion to appoint those 3 names, Resolution 19-1828, Parks and Recs.
Second. Go ahead.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
Mayor, quick question. Those 3, you said Steve Johnston, David White,
Danny Carroll.
and you say Danny Carroll?
And Danny Carroll shows on the website to still be current through 2021, but it was on my list as expiring, and we have his application, so I,
Okay, because I have,
no?
yeah, it could be, you could be correct, and I just want to clarify, because I'm looking, I had Stephanie Smith's term expiring January 1 of 2020, but Danny Carroll going through 2021.
So the chair to that board is not in town right now, so, and Stephanie Smith did not submit, so.
Right.
Not that I saw.
So Mayor, what I was going to say is we can go with the recommendation if it's approved. We'll just confirm with the dates and we'll go back to the resolutions when they're approved. If there's an issue, we'll bring it back up on January 2nd. That'll be before another meeting just to make sure it's right. We know that Steve Johnston and David White, because I've talked to both those two, we know that they're right. I just want to make sure the dates are correct. So.
Okay.
Okay.
So we'll bring, if there's an issue, we'll bring it back on the 2nd. If there's not an issue, it will not come back until
Okay.
next year.
Sandra, did you say it was correct or? The dates are correct. So basically we're saying that Danny Carroll does not need reappointed right now.
Right. So you would be looking at Stephanie Smith's position. So you can either fill that tonight or you can come back on the 2nd.
We'll come back on the 2nd. I'd like to talk to the chair of that
Okay,
committee.
great.
Okay.
So we'll go with the two.
So we'll go with Danny Carroll and Steve Johnson for tonight. No, I'm sorry.
No,
Steve Johnson and David White
And David
Yes.
White.
for tonight. All right. And,
Want to make that motion again?
okay, so I have an amended motion. Is there a second?
Second.
All right, I have the motion and a second. Any further discussion? Anybody from the audience? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimous. That is all the committees. Consent agenda.
It's not all of them, but I have them all.
All matters listed under consent agenda are to be considered routine by the city council and will be enacted by one motion. There will not be separate discussion on these items. If discussion is desired, that item will be removed from the consent agenda and will be considered separately. We are considering number 8, approval of the November 20th, 2019 council retreat minutes, November 21st, 2019 council retreat minutes, and the November 21st, 2019 regular council meetings. Comments, questions? No? Anybody from the audience? Question on the minutes?
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a motion that we approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Hearing none, motion carries unanimous. Discussion item number 9, discussion regarding golf course rates and economic impact.
Mayor, this is my item. It was presented at the last council meeting. It was also discussed at the November 20th council retreat. The discussion item was presented to council to determine what we would like to see and the method by which the review of golf course rates and potentially the impact of the golf course on the city, the community. And so we wanted the clarification, the discussion from council so that we can, as staff, we can get that, take the appropriate direction to bring back the information to council.
All right, so it says in here, Councilor Barthlow has stated he wants to see a rate structure developed by the golf course director for how he would make the golf course generate revenue and a business plan for the golf course. Okay, Councilor Davila requested information on the impact of the golf course on adjacent property values. Information on the economic impact of the golf course has on Lago Vista. So my question would be on the last one. Council requested information on the economic impact the golf course has on Lago Vista. Is that something? I mean, we had an economic impact study done a few years ago. At that time, we had 2 courses at that time. Are we looking council, are we looking to have another impact study paid for?
So I felt like it was fairly clear last time that I would like to see a report from the golf course manager as to how he would balance the budget before we decide to make improvements on the golf course. I would like to see that we would change the rate structure, and I don't want to dictate how that's done because I'm not a golfer and I don't understand it. What's important to me for us to get an item on the agenda where we get a presentation of how he would manage the golf course if we weren't influencing him. I would like to see as close to a balanced budget as possible. I've asked for it twice now, and I would feel like it would not be very difficult for him to present that to us. If I were to throw those numbers out there, I don't think it's that hard to balance the budget on golf. And I truly believe that this golf course is an asset to the city. We've already lost one. We've had a history of how we lost that. And we lost it the wrong way. It's like you're going to sell your car, so you flatten the tires and smash out all the windows. We closed the golf course and then sold it for peanuts, right? We sold it as a shuttered business.
Right.
What we should be doing is considering how to balance this item so the citizens don't rise up and make us get rid of it the wrong way, and we should get it running as efficiently as possible. And I understand that we have about 80 members that play golf, and they are loyal and they've paid their memberships. But I also understand that most of them pay less than $200 a month for unlimited golf and range balls. And I feel like that's a number from 1985. And my research, and I'm not trying to steamroll anything, I want to see what a golf course manager has proven himself twice or more on other courses to be able to balance the budget on a golf course, what he would do with those rates. My suspicion is that if you tripled the rates on the memberships at the golf course, and they truly love golf, and they understand they've had a nearly free ride for a long time, then, I mean, most of them since they were members have had a very discounted rate. It's time for the golfers to step up and pay accordingly to what they spend on golf. Now, if we triple the rates on the memberships, some people say do away with the memberships. And I think that would be a bad idea. A golf course manager might want to do that. I think you should always have a membership for those people who want to contribute to the golf course and they're not afraid to pull out their wallet to do so. It's not that you're looking for a discounted membership. It's that you're looking to be a benefactor of the golf course. And that guy that maybe you get them all green jackets or something if they remain members at the new rate, which pretty much would balance the budget on golf. And we wouldn't have to steal from water or other places in order to keep the golf course running. I think everyone would be happier. We could keep a city golf course. We'd be in competition with a private one. It would be great for our community. Now, if we don't take a step now or sometime very soon to make it not such a loss item for our budget, then I'm afraid it'll end up going the same direction. There are more people moving here. We don't want this golf course to get closed or sold in bad condition. So let's support it a little bit. Let's have a presentation from an uninfluenced golf course manager that has the ability to do so. Set a membership rate that's a realistic number and balance the budget from there. See what happens to the day rate. See how committed to the community and the golf course our golfers really are. And let them, it's been a great ride. Now, you're going to pay $400 to $600 a month to play unlimited anything. No. That's my feeling. But I'm still trying not to tell you guys what you're going to pay for golf. I'm telling you, it shouldn't be a conflict of interest for you.
Okay, so from what I understand, we're looking for the golf course director to put forth a business plan for the golf course that would include a rate structure showing how he would balance the budget on the golf course.
I would like to see consideration of doing away with memberships altogether and having a well-priced honorary membership for the truly devoted golfers that want to play a lot of golf and pay their fair share.
Okay. Do away, okay, say that again. Do away with the membership,
I wanna
but
know-
have membership?
I want to know if, a lot of golf courses have turned themselves around by doing away with memberships, and they just go to a day rate that balances the books.
Okay.
It's easier, right? And I know we feel like we're out here, far out, and people aren't playing, but the numbers show that we do have a lot of outside play or non-member play. And doing away with those memberships could balance the big books by itself. But I would like to allow people to continue to have memberships just at an improved rate that would not be charity to these golfers. It would be more like, hey, this is a position of honor. You're one of the guys on the golf course that's keeping it alive. And that's not what it is right now.
My last golf course was in Grapevine, Texas, 27 holes, excellent. Same with driving range and a cart. It was $3,000 a year.
I've been to Grapevine, Texas, not going back. It's crowded, it's flat, it's ugly.
All right, so
It's not us.
I think we're wanting to see like 3 different things. So the business plan with the rate structure, and this rate structure, I think it would be one with no memberships, or maybe just 2. One with no memberships at all, figured into that rate structure, and then a second rate structure with an amended membership. That,
A question for the city manager. I can't believe I've never asked this before, but have you ever been in a city that owned a golf course? Have you ever managed?
Yes.
Yes.
So do you have some ideas of your own and how you could balance the books on this golf course without going out and spending another $1.5 million to make it better and attract more outside play?
I definitely have ideas of my own. I don't know if they fall into what you just said, but I definitely have ideas.
So you think you could balance that budget?
I guarantee I can balance any budget
Right.
in the world.
on paper.
Well, anyway.
Yeah, but that's easy.
Without needing
Right.
5
I got you.
years.
Right.
Yep.
Balance it now, right?
On paper, yes.
Well,
Sure.
I don't expect to get that up from you necessarily. I know that our golf course manager is capable. I also know that his job and his ability to stay in his job is affected by everyone sitting up here. Right? And people feel that
No.
pressure.
You know that. Hal.
No, that's not true. Mayor, I think we're moving into an area in which the council members actually attempting to have the council violate the city charter. We may not direct anybody except the city manager.
Right.
We may not, thank you.
I'm asking the city manager to ask for a balanced budget.
Okay, super, but that's the way we don't, your suggestion that we go to the unfiltered, that's not the way to play it. So we're asking the city manager to provide
So I will
information.
reword the way, a business plan for the golf course with the rate structure developed by the city manager, how he would make the golf course generate revenue. So,
Or balance the budget is fine. Balance the budget in the next 6 months. Before we,
Well, you're assuming that, I mean, you're assuming that you can just balance the budget, in 6 month period of time,
I've been told it can be done.
We have tried to make the golf course more profitable. But one of the things we did was to sell one course. The other thing was to get rid of the grill under the city. And we will continue to try to improve the golf course.
I'm afraid not everyone believes that, David, that those don't seem like meaningful actions in the past. To me, I feel like we need, you want to just kill it, you want to ride it into the ground and watch it just
I don't think
suffer till the citizens.
I don't think
That's
we're
been
trying to
happening
ride
in
it
the
into the
past.
ground. I think we're,
We've done it to one.
Mr. Mayor?
all right, yes,
I believe we're getting a far
Right.
field from the
Correct.
agenda item.
okay, thank you.
Correct.
So my question, okay, so the balanced budget, I mean, I understand what you're asking for. My question is, if we come with a business plan and it has a new rate structure, what's what's it going to be based on? I mean, if 23,000 rounds of golf, you know, if we come up with a business plan and a rate structure, but then we only end up with 15,000 rounds next year instead of 20,000, it didn't matter what that business plan or rate structure, because it doesn't come to fruition. So
I feel like we
you
have
just
to
want
make
it
a
ba-
radical change.
You want it based off of,
I want to see a today change in membership rates that would be a fair number for a membership comparable to ours. I would go up to $600 a month. I know that alone would remove the deficit unless they all quit. But if they all quit, which is what I've been told will happen, then we've gone to a straight day rate anyway. And then if they boycott the golf course, they're not very devoted to the city or the game of golf.
Spare us that, please.
all right, so,
Well, that's a lot of speculation,
No, but
right?
Yeah, don't,
All
don't
yours
be
is
putting words into
speculation.
our mouths.
all right, so I have another question. So business plan and rate structure from the city manager. Some of our other departments, utility, obviously we do a rate study. Do we want to bring in somebody to do an actual rate study?
That's not what I'm requesting. I'm requesting that we get a presentation from our current golf course manager without outside influence as to how he could balance the books and what he would do if we untied his hands,
Okay,
with no fear of being fired because you've done the right thing.
okay,
Which I don't know how to put that in there.
so
You're acting as.
Arch, Counselor Davila has
I've been
requested
told so.
information on the impact of
Many
the golf
people.
course on adjacent property values. I think that goes hand in hand with the impact. It was included in that impact study that we did a few years ago. So I'm thinking the impact on the property values and the economic impact study is something that we don't need to necessarily do.
Well, the impact study that was done before, though, had to do with two different golf courses
Right.
that were owned at the same time. We now only own one golf course. So the question that I would want to have answered is, what is the effect that the course has on ad valorem taxes for those people who own property on the golf course and also adjacent to those lots? Because I think that has a lot to do with what the value of the golf course has to the city.
Right.
It's not just what comes through the door when the fees are collected at the counter for play. I think there's a whole lot that's being missed there.
Like
If
you
just
could say, that
ignore-
last impact study had that information.
But it didn't single out just the one golf course. It had to do with the two combined.
Right. But
So if
do
we
you,
can-
do you think it would require a whole nother study just,
Well, I don't know what the rate difference would be. I know that I've heard that it was about 15% for property owners that own property on the golf course, and then 10% for those that lived across the street from those lots. And then there's also, I think, a secondary benefit to people that live two streets over.
right?
So that's, I think it's important to understand what that impact is before we start talking about these things having to do with fees. Because I believe that in general, we're gonna be talking about apples and oranges in terms of amounts of money. that-
Okay, so are you just asking for staff to get that
If it's
information?
If it's possible to go to TCAD and get those kinds of not changes, but differences in the ad valorem tax rate for those properties, that's what I would be interested in. And what that means in terms of the entire city with regard to Lago Vista Golf.
Mr. Mayor?
Okay.
Mayor, on the last impact study, from what I read in the minutes, it wasn't deemed as complete by the council. There were some issues at the end and therefore not used as an effective document. Looking at the requests that have been made overall, it would be great to have the rate structure reviewed. It'd be great to have some aspects of the economic impact and the property owners tied into something just from a staff view. That way it's a comprehensive information back to council if you're looking at a rate change.
I'd like to just make this one statement, though, with regard to what's been stated by the counselor, and that is that if we were to triple the rate that's being charged to people that currently have annual memberships, they would all go away. If you doubled it, they'd probably all go away. Because when you look at the history of the amounts of money that people have paid for memberships, it hasn't been that long ago that the rate was $2,500, 25 something if you own your own golf cart, and that was paying for a membership that involved 2 golf courses. When we lost that one golf course and went to the single one, there was an adjustment made to the membership rate then, which basically took about a third of the overall rate and took that away. So, I can see that there's a possibility of having some upward movement there, but doubling or tripling, that's suicide.
Okay. So I'm trying to figure out the direction to give to our city manager. So we know we've got a business plan with the rate structure that would make it net neutral, balanced budget. Also information on what the golf course does to the property values. I know that's from our last study. You can get that from.
I'd like to make a point on that, Mr. Mayor, if you don't mind.
Okay.
I've been a realtor in Austin for 18 years, and I can assure you that there is ad valorem value, and I've sold some houses on the Lago Vista golf course. I have friends that live on the golf course, and I want it to remain a golf course. But if you look at new communities going in, instead of 80 people using that golf course, they can turn them into a green belt, and then the whole community can use it. And the ad valorem tax you're going to get from people who back up to a green belt is probably going to be more significant. I feel like it's a waste of effort in that we know that there's green space back there, and we know that it's an effective golf course right now. All we have to do to save it and to continue going that direction is ask for a little bit more out of the current members or do away with membership and then figure out how to get more play. Everything else is speculation, right? But if we want to keep the golf course, people are going to have to pay what it costs to play golf.
But you're also assuming that those 81 members is the only ones that are playing golf on that golf course.
I'm not assuming that. I know better.
We had 20 new members last year for the men's golf.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor.
All right.
Mr. Mayor, I would like to make sure that Chris Godwin has a direct report to the city manager, that he deals strictly with the city manager, and that city councilmen do not get in between those two.
Excellent.
All right.
Thank you.
We haven't been in it.
Okay, so at this time, though, I don't see anybody requesting any kind of outside study being done, though. Is that?
Yeah, I agree, Mayor, that with you. Interestingly, and the chairs here, the last Golf Course Advisory Committee meeting, they requested that study be done. That hadn't got to us, but I agree with your point. I don't think we ought to spend any more money. We've got lots of numbers that are pretty easy to get.
I agree with that.
Mm-hmm. All right. So are you clear on that direction so far?
Well, so far,
A business plan with the rate structure developed by yourself on how we could balance the budget on the golf course, taking into consideration either no memberships and just straight day use fees, whatever, or something that does incorporate an amended membership, that still shows a balanced budget based on, I'm going to say based on the number of rounds played in this last
completed
year.
fiscal
Because
year.
I don't know what the future numbers are going to be, so you're going to have to use what numbers we have.
Yeah, Mayor, the one concern I had, and obviously none of the council wanted to request a rate study or analysis like we do with utility fees. Unfortunately, if you don't want to do that, obviously we're not going to do it because that allocates dollars to it. But just like the last time, that impact study, you can't pull these numbers from TCAD and get a delineation. We have people argue that lake lots have higher value the closer you are to the lake. Most of us would typically agree. We have people argue that the golf course has higher property values depending on the depth you are from the golf course, and that the airport has higher values depending on how close you are to the airport. The only way to pull that is to pull the values, try and do a cost comparison, just like a real estate comparison of the total square feet, price per square foot, and do that. We can do that. That will take some lengthy time. You made the point earlier of a balanced budget, and you clarified that. It's actually a revenue neutral is what we're searching for, because the budget was balanced by the council, not by the staff, when you approved a budget. So the 6% general fund contribution created a balanced budget and for the golf course. So,
Right.
so what we can do.
Revenue neutral.
Right. And so that's with the goal of being revenue positive, because that's always our goal, is to get to that point. So, Mayor, without going into the full economic impact or going into the impact of the golf course on adjacent property values, without doing a full business plan, yes, we can use exactly what you said, the total number of rounds for the year, non-member rounds being about 15,000 for the year, and member rounds being about 8,000 for the year. Use those numbers, lay out a structure, and we'll also put in there the things that would need to be done for the golf course to improve it to a level associated with a rate increase. So if we're on the same page, then that's what we'll bring back to council.
So two comments. I don't know, during the impact study that we did previously, TCAD was able to provide, or I don't know if it was documented, but they did say that when they were looking at property values, that there was a premium on, and so I don't know, you might talk to TCAD and just see if they've got something that reflects that. It might save you from having to pull all the comparisons. Just a suggestion.
I'll definitely ask them, Mayor, but I've talked to them about similar comments about those three items in the 2 years I've been here. And it goes back to the point where they don't say that it's a premium, but if I can just get to a person that would show us some of those numbers, that'd be great.
Okay, so
Mayor, could we get some comparisons to some other golf courses
On,
rates?
well,
yeah, if it's a rate study, Mayor, that's part of that. The only problem is, it's just like with our utility rates. We can compare them just for knowledge base, but our utilities, our impact, our dollars in, our dollars out are different. The courses, the quote of, if you've seen one, you've seen one. If you've seen, you don't see more. I mean, these things aren't, you don't pick a golf course up from one place and put it in another. But yes, we can add that just for review.
I think there may be a difference in this, which, unlike water rates, you don't have a choice. If you're in Lago, you're going to get Lago water. You have lots of choices about golf, and so what you pay at other golf courses, I think, might be helpful.
well, and my concern is, I feel at some point we're going to have to commission an actual rate structure, because we can go in and take those numbers, rounds of golf that we used, base it off of that. But do we know, does yourself or anybody in golf course that knows, that could provide an example, or if we make these changes, what's that effect going to be? And I don't think we can do that without, at some point, commissioning an actual rate structure or rate study that says, if you double, if you raise the day use fees, 10%, and you do away with the memberships, and what's that going to do to the number of rounds played? And
No matter who you hire, that's still going to be speculation. We're trying to save a golf course here. Let's change the rates to balance the budget, and if it gets better with a new budget, a revenue neutral budget, then we can adapt from there. But what we're doing on the current course is in our history already with the other golf course, and I don't want to relive it.
And Mr. Mayor, I think that it'd probably be best if we had a neutral third party look at our golf course and its impact.
We've hired a guy that can do it. He's told me he can do it. Tells everyone he can do it. Our golf course manager has done it before at other golf
Mayor, I
courses.
want to clarify on that one, just from my conversation with our golf course director. The comment I've got back from Mr. Godwin is, if we make improvements, we can do this. And that's the comment of, I believe that's what Councilor Bartholow is talking about in discussion with him, in terms of what you have to do. If A, then B. It goes back to the USGA report. If you look at the USGA report, you see that the professional said, or the PGA professional said, if you redo 19 greens, then you can raise your rack rate from $44 to $72. If you do this, you can do that. But just like Councilor Bartho said, it's pure speculation from a guy that goes around to golf courses around the country, and you can't guarantee that. It sounded great to me to raise a rack rate to $72, because I think that's a wonderful number. If you did that math and do an extra $28 times 15,000 rounds, you get almost that same revenue neutral number. But then who plays it? We can't guarantee you that. So
But I feel like the citizens won't support spending another $1.5 million to improve the greens, and then going back and spending another $2 to $3 million on irrigation. Let's see that we can do better with what we've got before we spend any other money on it. And the obvious thing to me as a business person is the rate structure. To just change it and see what happens. And the worst case scenario, we lose $435,000 a year, right? I don't think it gets worse than that, unless you all quit playing golf.
Don, when we talked about this exec, we thought it was $55 a round. We heard the number. It was $55 a round. And then what are my choices? It's what we said during the retreat. Let's say I can play for nothing on Mondays and $20 in Lago every other day of the week. So am I going to pay $55 a round or 0 or 20 to play in Lago? I'm going to play here for 20.
It's a terrible
That's
argument.
easy.
It's reality.
And then what is most golfers going to do? I think we know what the answer is, but we're getting beyond what kind of data we're supposed to be gathering and having a debate about the outcome.
Mr. Mayor? I've sat here and listened, but I can't just sit here any longer. I do not understand why it is so much of a thing to pick on the golfers. Now, in all fairness, we pay $20 a head to let kids go stick their foot in a swimming pool. Where's your ire over that? Why are we not demanding to balance that budget? We're talking about building a $4 million recreation center out here, a sports complex that will never, ever in its existence, ever pay for itself, and will cost us $300,000 to $500,000 a year to maintain and take care of. We're talking about a whole nother staff to go up there and take care of that facility. Where's your ire over that? Why does that not have to balance?
It's not a problem yet.
It is.
It is a problem. It's the same
It's something that the
thing.
entire community will have access to.
It cost us $8 for everybody that walks into the library.
Do you feel
Those
like
are
you pay a
things
fair
that
share to
we-
play golf right now, unlimited? Do you feel like your rate is fair?
We're getting
I
off.
agree. Let's move on.
Let me just,
Cost of
let me
government's
finish. Let me
100%.
just finish, please.
Yes.
Okay? The golf course has become something for everybody to get on. Now, can we make the cost of the golf course less? We can look at that. That's reasonable. But to increase the price on our golf course to a price that is what people pay for private golf courses with super facilities and a fantastic golf course, I don't care where it is not going to do anything but kill play on our golf course and drive it into the ground. It's just the way it is. And we have a number of individuals who play on our golf course who are on very fixed budgets. They're not rich. They don't have a whole bunch of money. They are people who came here to retire and play golf. There are citizens too. They deserve consideration.
All right, well, we're not adopting any kind of rate structure or anything at this point in time. All we're asking for is a study, a business plan with a rate structure that shows a net neutrality on the golf course.
Revenue neutral, provided by our current employee. Doesn't cost us anything. Show us what we can do.
All right. So at this point, I'm going to go to the audience. I have Chip Hamilton, who has signed up to speak on this item.
Council. I don't really know where to start now.
Name and address first.
Let's start with,
Name and address.
why,
Name and address, please.
oh, I'm sorry, I
Just
thought
for
you
the people
knew
that are
me.
watching.
Chip Hamilton, 20600 Highland Lake Drive in Lago. Why does cities own golf courses? To provide an affordable recreation facility for its citizens and to all the citizens, to everyone that wants to play that recreational facility, just like your swimming, just like your rec facilities, whatever. The difference between a municipal course and a public course, there's a lot of difference. A municipal course is owned by a municipality to serve the community. A public course is privately owned and it is designed to make money. So I just want to draw those distinctions. There are, and my stuff, my numbers are not just my numbers. They come from the National Golf Foundation. National Golf Foundation is the leading golf course consultant in the country. They're nonprofit, and they are doing some fabulous work. If you just go online and Google NGF, National Golf Foundation, there is a plethora of free material and research in there that will answer a ton of your questions. And by the way, just so everybody's full disclosure, I'm also golf course committee chair. And I've also worked in this business for a long time. There are 2,900 municipal golf courses in the country. That's directly from NGF. The 2,900 courses constitute 2,500 facilities. Some of these facilities have have more than one course. Now, out of those 2,900 municipal courses, approximately 67% of them, according to their research, cover the cost. They balance their budget. They break even. And in some cases, they make money. I mean, Bethpage in New York makes a fortune. But, you know, they've had Open and several others up there, and those are municipal courses. But 67% of the courses break even or do better. There's a couple of problems with municipal golf course management that affects how much money you can make. Municipal courses
are a part of the city, and you have administration costs, capital costs, you have interest services, you have retirement system commitments that other golf courses, especially publics, don't have.
Well, your time is up.
Well, I'm willing to grant him more.
I'm gonna listen as long as he wants to talk.
Yeah,
It's up to you, gentlemen.
okay.
Talk a
Proceed.
little bit longer. I
yeah,
won't take
no.
up much more
Now I
time.
want to hear what you have to say.
Now, importantly, I heard the discussion on rate structures. And NGF did their rate structures on all of these municipal courses. And out of the 2,900 courses, there's, the average cost of an 18-hole round on a public golf course is $35. That's per round. We're at about 32 ourselves here. If, and this is my speculation purely, going away from the study, if you increase the price twice, 3 times what it is today, Crystal Falls, which is owned by the city of Leander, is right down the street. It's $35. That's for a round of golf carts, and it's a fine course. It's a very fine course. You won't find any courses in Austin unless they're privately owned or Austin Country Club that are very much above that average.
Right.
And that's one of the reasons the Golf Course Committee has suggested that we do a rate study and an economic impact study along with the rate study so that we can determine what the impact of the golf course is on the community economically, what can it charge in comparison to what else is in the Austin area. And we've done that 2 or 3 times over the last 3 or 4 years with both the Golf Course Committee and with the pro. But that's gonna require some outside services, at least in my opinion. I don't know how you're going to be able to get that a non-biased report unless you go outside to a firm that is familiar with golf courses, municipal golf courses, and rate structures.
Good.
And with that, any questions? I'll get out of here.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Well, in my direction, I want to,
Got another speaker?
You got another hand?
okay, that's fine. Josh, if you would, just look into what those things cost, a rate study, and is that something we have to put in RFQ out for, or? Because I'm not saying we want to do that now, but at some point in the future, we may want to consider that. Hold on, Chip, let's,
Can I make one more point?
all right, one more point.
Thank you. National Golf Foundation is doing an intensive study in 2020 strictly on municipal golf. And I think that would be a great resource for the city to look into. They're going to study all of the courses around the country, and they're going to come up with rate structures. They're going to determine the quality of courses, et cetera, of municipal courses. So that'd be a great place to start.
All right, thank you. All right, yes, ma'am.
Jackie Goodwin, 4501 Nettle Lane. When I first came to Lago, we paid $3,500 to belong to 3 courses. Okay, over the years, it's been sold and resold and everything else. We're down to 1 course now. I am a member of the WGA, and we have tried to bring different entities into the city to play. CTLG, which is Central Texas Ladies, they played Delaware Springs, Georgetown. We used to have them come here, 40, 50 golfers. They won't come anymore because of the condition of our course. Delaware Springs now and Georgetown, they have to limit the number of golfers that can even sign up to play. We can't even bring them in here. We want to join this Austin area women's golf. We would like to be a host. Bring money in. We can't do it because of the condition of our courses. We have let them go for 50 years and not maintained them. And we have to put something in there to bring them up to a level that you can sell them and you can make money on them. Or you can, have an even balance, but you cannot do it when you have the condition that we have on our courses right now. Any asset you have got to maintain it in order for it to service your community. We have golf in our schools. We give scholarships to the golf students. They play free. We give back to the community. And I think you should consider that. You have a chance to improve this asset and make it something that could bring in more money. It can't right now. It can't. And you can't ask your members to go and pay double, triple, whatever for a course in this condition.
Okay, well, Jackie, I'm going to go ahead and cut you off because we're just discussing what they would like direction from the city manager. Yes.
I already did my address. So I just wanted to say, it wasn't really the city that hasn't taken care of its asset. We've really only owned it for 10 years. So a lot of blame is put on the city, whereas we've only owned it for 10 years. It was the private companies before them that never maintained it as well. So for now, the taxpayers to have to pay the money to maintain it and renew it and everything is a lot to ask as well. But I sat and watched Chris Godwin come in and talk. He had so many different kinds of research that he did for this the golf cart storage thing. And I don't understand why the blowback today is not having him come in and talk about how he can turn a golf course to revenue neutral, because he's actually done that before. He did it in Corpus, and he is a great person to look to. That's free. We already pay him to talk about how we can actually do this revenue neutral, or at least, I wouldn't even mind like $100,000 loss, or even two, but for it to be such a huge loss, and then us for over the next few years to put millions and millions of dollars into it just doesn't make very much sense. And I know the whole, if they can't raise the prices now if it's in this condition, but if we sell it as we're going to be making these changes, we're going to be making these improvements, invest in your golf course, invest in your asset that you have here that you use multiple times a week, and I think that we should actually have Chris Godwin come in and do what he does, what he's done before.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, anyone else? Oh, yes, sir.
Okay, Ron Smith, 20609 Oak Ridge. I've heard all the arguments for 10 years. It's the same arguments I'm hearing tonight. We're going to hear about the property values. We're going to hear about the rates. It's like instant replay. The only thing is that the best year you've ever had in golf was a loss of $194,000. You've lost up to $1 million. You got one golf course that's running at a $500,000 loss. A lot of this stuff, I think I know where this is all going to go again. It's the same place it went for the last 10 years. And when you get your report, then there's going to be people discrediting the report, and my report's better than your report. And I can see it coming. So maybe something different ought to be looked at. And let me give you, for example, Burnett, Texas is very similar to Lago Vista. They get their water from Hyena Lakes, a variable level lake, just like we do. They got a population similar to ours, a little bit less. Growth is a little bit less. They don't have much of a business base like we do. But they, 2 years ago, almost got to break even without borrowing money and going into debt. They did it through operational excellence and working down their debt, reinvesting that interest from that debt back into the golf course, and basically working it down. I'm trying to look for an alternative because I don't know that the direction y'all are going in is going to solve it. But they almost broke even. This past year, they actually lost $150,000. And the reason for that is because we had a summer that lasted all the way to November. And that impacted everything. So maybe we ought to find a city that's successful, see what they've done, and see if it's applicable here, and go that direction. I think that would be quicker and cheaper and might actually work because it's already proven. So that's all I've got.
Thank you, Ron. Anyone else in the audience? All right. Anybody else on the dais?
I'd like to respond to something that Ron just brought up. Back when the rate study was done that we've talked about before, I remember looking at Delaware Springs, which is the course in Burnett. And what they did is that they allocated $450,000 that particular year up front, and that's what they basically told the golf course manager, here's this amount of money, make it work. They didn't get any more. In other words, they front-loaded what they were investing in the golf course to make sure that it was viable and so forth. Is that something that you would accept?
They already have $435,000 in the budget right now. Use that.
Yeah, but we're talking about just 1 year. Just 1 year does not make it a trend. You can't say that that's something that you can depend on.
I have seen no change in golf course administration, fees or rates. I mean, when we had the golf course open up, you had a certain rate. Then you raised it 7%. A few years later, you raised it 9%, and then you dropped it 23%. So we're lower than 2010 rates right now. The way we're going is wrong. I mean, you're paying less for golf now than you did in 2010. You wonder why we have a deficit.
Well, there was also 2 courses back then. But
We only raised the rate 7% when Highland Lakes came online. Then there was another adjustment of 9% a few years later.
Right.
And then last year you dropped it 32%. Now you're lower than what you were in 2010. I think you've already got the money. I think we just need to sharpen the pencil and get to work.
Ron, the thing that I was asking was, do you find it acceptable to front-load the amount of money that's being allocated to the golf course, as opposed to making adjustment at the end of the year at budget time? Because basically that's what they did then. I believe that whatever amount is a deficit at the end of the year would not bring the same amount of attention if it was front-loaded. Now, I don't know how our city manager feels about that, but I think that would be one of the things that might be a workable solution, is to say, this is the amount of money that you're going to be allocated at the beginning of the budget year, and make it work.
So Arch, if I may, we did that 3 years ago, 4 years ago.
Right. And come back with quarterly reports, and that didn't work out.
We did that, and come like June, we were out of money. And the thing that was faced with the council at that time was to allocate more money or shut the golf course down in June.
3 years ago.
Yeah.
3 years ago. We had 2 courses then, 3 years ago. It's different now.
Does Delaware Springs have memberships?
Yes.
Yes.
I'm on their website. I don't see it anywhere, but.
Yeah, they do. Unless it's
Mayor,
changed recently.
can we move to the next item? I think the manager may have his direction as opposed to debating what we might do with the course.
I've got plenty, Mayor.
You got plenty.
Okay.
Anything else on what you want the city manager to bring back? Okay.
Pretty clear. Uninfluenced, revenue neutral budget, ASAP.
Wait,
No what?
I'm not factoring that in. No lost jobs is not something we're factoring in, just FYI.
If we fire Chris, it's gonna get ugly.
Number 10, city manager report.
Mayor, I have two reports. The first is Mr. James Peck and I met with the FAA this week to discuss some things going on with our airport, with TxDOT Aviation, not the FAA. I think we had a really good meeting. We were with them for about an hour and 45 minutes. We have some follow-up that we're going to do. We're going to work together and follow back up with them. So just to pass on to council, everything's going as planned with TxDOT Aviation and with our airport. That was something that we reported back in the council retreat, and we said we'd have follow-up. And as I said, feel free to talk to Mr. Peck after the meeting, see if he disagrees, but I think we've got a good action plan, and we'll get together and make that happen. Second thing, really excited to let everyone know that if you've not seen our two tennis courts, both sets of tennis courts, one at the Lago Vista Golf Course and one at the middle school, have been refinished. They have an amazing crack seal done on the courts, beautiful color, and the brand new nets. The Lago Vista Golf Course tennis courts have some fencing repairs completed. At the golf course, we have converted our junior tennis courts to pickleball-only courts. You'll recognize this in the future because there'll be a nice sign that says, we play pickleball here, but you'll recognize it because when you're playing pickleball, the area closest to the nets is referred to as the kitchen, and the kitchen is now green. And then the back area, the service area, is a pretty blue, so it's not an incomplete project. It's the way it's supposed to look. Feel free to check that out. And then on the tennis court side, we have created 4 pickleball courts. So moving forward, instead of having 2 courts, we now have 6 pickleball courts at this one location. So I think that's going to give us flexibility with our Parks and Recreation programming moving forward. And we're very excited. Hopefully, tomorrow morning in the potential 33-degree weather, we'll have some pickleballers out playing on the courts tomorrow morning. Best news, total budget, in the rain. Yeah, 30-some degrees in the rain, but courts are going to be awesome to play. So if you guys need a paddle, I'll hook you up. Best news is total budget for the project by the council was $82,000. It looks like the final bill will be $26,750. The difference there is when we talked to the contractors and we were going to come out and do the complete rebuild, all the contractors said to do the complete rebuild of going all the way down subsurface and re-pour larger number. This crack seal method is a subsurface crack seal, and it should last. We need to see how it works, and if you go check it out, I think you'll be very satisfied with the quality of their work.
Awesome.
That's all I have, Mayor.
Questions, comments? Anybody from the audience? All right.
Dale Mitchell, you got nothing? You're the pickleball guy, right?
We're going to be out there at 8:15 tomorrow.
Rain or shine.
Future meetings. Number 11, consider our schedule and items for future council meetings. So obviously, golf course rates and economic February. We obviously can't do it by January, but is February?
That would be our plan, Mayor. And if we can get it by the second meeting in January, we'll bring it second meeting.
Okay. Good with that? Yep. Anybody else have anything for?
Well, it's one that we talked about before, the city development policy. That'll be on. And I've got some backup I'll send you tomorrow.
we have that, and then, Mayor, you received the request from the ESD, so hopefully we'll get the additional information. So we'll have that one. As soon as we receive that information, we'll have that on the agenda.
Yeah, I don't have a date for that one yet, though, because there's some information that I've requested. They have a deadline of 26th of January, so that 26th December to get it on the January 2nd agenda. I don't know if I'll see it by then or not with the holidays, but we are shooting for January 2nd. If not, it'll be the 16th.
Great.
I'd throw one more thing out there. Just, Frank, you're Keep Lago Vista Beautiful, right?
Yeah.
I just let you guys know that I've been endorsed to operate the mower. I've been mowing the right-of-ways, working my way around town. So if anyone wants their right-of-way mowed, send it to me. And if anyone on Keep Lago Vista Beautiful, you're going to clean a street and you'd like me to come through with the mower, let me know. And if anyone else wants to help me in mowing the right-of-ways, then all you have to do is sign a little waiver, and I could give you a pretty decent class on how to operate the air-conditioned with music mower.
Awesome. Anybody else? Future agenda items? All right. Does anybody we don't have anything to go into executive session again, do we?
No.
All right. All right, I will call this meeting adjourned at 8:33.
Look at this. So
Everyone have a good Christmas.
this was the first meeting, so we finished at chapter 1320.
He just opened the door to one of my biggest golf.
702, 704, 707. We were all the way, we finished that at 734.
Sam, I will
735
the golf
golf course, almost an hour. But you knew,
That's not as long as I thought.